when you were talking about the kosha,
Anandamaya kosha.
Anandamaya kosha.
Yes.
Okay. It made me think of, a couple years ago, I used to have these pretty much daily in meditation. I would get this like bliss that felt like I was going to explode, like it was just so powerful bliss. And then I had my first glimpse of true nature, and now I was just thinking, you got me thinking about that. It never happens anymore. Never. The overwhelming experience of bliss, and what has kind of replaced it is just an expansive, spacious kind of feeling with no edges or borders, just like space, but very peaceful space. Not the huge bliss thing, but very peaceful. And there's been times when I thought it was kind of boring from what I used to feel before, but things are definitely happening or unhappening, however you want to look at it. Would you care to comment on that, or I don't know?
Yeah. If you imagine somebody who's, let's say they're locked in a prison cell. Imagine someone who's been locked in a prison cell for decades, and they've been in the dark. They haven't had access to many things. They haven't seen the outside world, and they're so looking forward to their prison sentence ending and coming out into the world. And then one day, their prison sentence is ended, and the prison cell door is flung open, and they walk straight out into the beautiful world with the sun shining, the greenery and the trees, and birds singing, and it's beautiful. And you can imagine the sense of elation and happiness and freedom that person feels. Because, and this is what I call a contrast experience, because there's such a contrast between where they were and where they now are. And it's that first time that person comes out of prison, say they've been in prison for 40 years, and they step out, that moment only happens once. The first time you step out of the prison cell, that moment only happens once. And even if afterwards, let's say for the metaphor, to pursue this metaphor, let's say you're thrust back into the prison cell for a week or two, and then you're let out again. It still feels great the second time you're let out after a couple of weeks. But the contrast isn't so great now. It's not been 40 years. And you've experienced that outside world already. Okay. So you can see the contrast is what creates that sense of bliss and overwhelming unity and love and freedom and expansiveness. And then if you take that same person who's now out of prison and you fast forward a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, and you fast forward a year, 2 years, you say, how are you feeling? How does it feel to be out of prison? They'll go, great, yeah, it feels great. But a lot of it, they'll be used to things now. It won't feel like they're walking on air so much now. They'd have got used to being out of prison, and the body would have acclimatized and adjusted. So that's one thing to say. There's another thing I want to say. These are all experiences for the body-mind. This shows we are traveling, we're evolving in our spiritual journey. our spiritual path, because we're becoming more peaceful. But this is still all within the dream, within mind. This is still all for an individual, for Ronald or for whoever. Self-realization is beyond all of this. It's unfathomable. It's totally unfathomable to the mind. The mind cannot begin to understand what liberation is. It is like nothing you can experience. It's beyond experience. It can only be obtained through self-inquiry.